Welcome to The Explainer. You ever wonder why your workplace is set up the way it is? Well, today we're going to trace the incredible story of management theory, a journey that has shaped pretty much everything, from the old factory floor to the modern startup.
So, let's dive right in with this question. The answer lies in this really fascinating evolution of ideas about people, about systems, and about what it really means to succeed. We're going to unpack the foundational theories that, believe it or not, define our work lives every single day. Our story kicks off in an era of factories and smokestacks. I mean, the world was industrializing at a crazy pace, and the way people thought about organizing work was, not surprisingly, very mechanical.
Back then, the logic seemed pretty simple. If you want civilization to advance, you need factories. And for factories to run, well, you need a ton of workers. So this theory saw the huge migration of people from the countryside to cities as just a natural, totally necessary step towards progress.
So the big idea at the time was to see these organizations as closed systems. That basically meant they were treated like these self-contained machines, totally sealed off from the messy, unpredictable outside world. The goal wasn't about being adaptable. It was about pure, predictable efficiency, like a perfectly oiled engine designed to do one thing and one thing only.
And this slide just visualizes that closed system thinking perfectly, right? You can see the super linear flow here. The input has to be uniform, the process is completely standardized, and the output is perfectly consistent. It's a perfect machine, no surprises, and definitely no deviations allowed. But, this whole machine-like view, it had a huge blind spot: the people inside of it. Pretty soon, a totally revolutionary idea started to take hold. What if the human parts of the machine were actually the most important, the most complex, and the most powerful components of all?
And this image just nails the fundamental split in management thinking that started to happen. Over on the left, you've got Theory X. That's the classic, old-school command and control model where workers are basically seen as cogs in the machine who need constant supervision. But then on the right, you have Theory Y, which sees people as, well, people, naturally creative, engaged, and actually driven to solve problems together.
So here's the kicker. According to the guy who came up with these theories, the crucial point wasn't about picking one side or the other. It was about finding a balance. The best kind of workplace understands that you need both clear structure and creative freedom to really succeed.
And why is that? Well, it's because their motivation comes from within, right? They aren't just punching a clock for a paycheck. They're actually driven by a desire to grow, to learn, and to fulfill their potential. And that means they often need less direct supervision while at the same time producing way more innovative and high-impact results. All right, so let's see how these ideas about what drives people start to build into a much more modern view of the world. Because the world outside the company walls was getting faster, way less predictable, and that old mechanical model of management, it just couldn't keep up. This was a massive, massive shift in thinking. It's like the whole machine metaphor just got shattered. As you can see here, thinkers started to see a company as more of a living system, kind of like an organism breaking out of a rigid box. It's constantly changing, it's evolving, and it's adapting to its environment in totally spontaneous ways.
And this is where complexity theory comes in. And man, it just tossed out all the old, rigid rule books. It suggests a company is more like the dynamic ecosystem you see here. It's all interconnected and alive. It organizes itself without some top-down master plan, it learns from its environment, and get this, even conflict isn't just a problem to be squashed. It can be the very thing that sparks a brand new creative solution.
Which brings us to this really powerful, super simple idea. There is no one best way. The image of all these different locks and keys, it's perfect. Because if every company is a unique, complex system, then a single master key, a one-size-fits-all approach to management, it's just not going to work. Context is everything.
And this is what contingency theory is all about. It argues that being an effective leader means being flexible. The best decision depends completely on the situation, the size of your company, the culture of your team, the kind of problem you're trying to solve. You have to be able to adapt.
Okay, so all of this brings us to the modern business battlefield. Here, the game is no longer just about being efficient. It's about innovation, it's about adaptation, and sometimes it's about completely rewriting the rules of the game. As Harvard's Clay Christensen explained, disruption isn't just about inventing some cool new gadget. That's only part of the story. The real revolution comes from the business model that brings that technology to the market in a new and totally unexpected way.
Now this
This sounds completely backward, right? But just think about it for a second. Successful companies are laser-focused on giving their existing customers exactly what they want. They're perfecting their current products, which is great, but it can make them totally blind to completely new markets that are popping up on the sidelines. And this chart just lays out that classic dilemma perfectly. Look at the strategy for the established firm, the castle on the left. Listening to current customers. They're playing defense, fortifying their position. But meanwhile, the disruptive startup on the right is all offense, focused on creating new value propositions and basically launching into a whole new market.
So, after this whole journey from the factory floor to the digital frontier, we're left with a really critical question for our own future. As more and more routine tasks get automated by AI, are we going to double down on that command and control theory X for the work that's left? Or will the uniquely human skills of creativity, problem solving, and that inner drive, the very heart of theory Y, become our most valuable asset of all?